Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
A high-profile visit to highlight healthcare inequities. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services Javier Becerra was in San Diego County today as part of a nationwide campaign. KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco says he has a message for organizations serving the Latino and minority communities who are hoping to bring their innovative ideas to life.
The visit was part of HHS Secretary Javier Becerra's National Latino Health Tour, where he is teaming up with community partners and healthcare systems to address health inequities faced by Latinos and communities of color. Becerra emphasized issues like cancer, the leading cause of death among Latinos, and the need for inclusion in clinical trials.
It's about making sure we include everybody, whether it's making sure that there's someone who can participate in a trial that's no more than 30 minutes away, or whether it simply means that the product of that research will reach everyone in this country and won't leave anyone behind.
Becerra invited researchers and other innovators from minority-serving institutions across California to explore new ways to improve diversity, access, and inclusion in clinical trials.
Let's connect the dots. So to me, if this session does no more than let many of you who've got those brilliant ideas, but yet haven't found the capital or the wind beneath you to make them fly, we want to connect you to the capital.
The event was hosted by SDSU and the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, known as ARPA-H, a new federal agency launched in 2022 that funds new and innovative approaches to health. ARPA-H Director Renee Wegzin says women's health is also a top priority.
We are looking at women's health at home. We listened to communities and heard, I'm taking care of my kids, I'm taking care of my parents, I have to work, I don't have time to go to the doctor. So we want to innovate and think about what type of healthcare can we bring to the home.
They recently announced a $100 million investment in women's health research.
That may include some innovations. We're waiting for the proposals to come in to address some of these women's health challenges from women in midlife all the way to really early stage women at home. How are we helping everybody through all ages and stages?
Wegzin says ARPA-H has so far given more than $10 million to projects in San Diego County. Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
State lawmakers are considering a bill that would substantially limit overdraft fees from many California-based credit unions. KPBS's Scott Rott reports the bill passed its first committee this week.
A customer gets an overdraft fee when they spend more money than they have in their checking account. Under Senate Bill 1075, credit unions could only charge customers 3 overdraft fees per month. It would also establish a 5-day grace period for customers to repay their negative balance and avoid fees altogether. State Senator Stephen Bradford co-authored the bill and testified before the Senate Banking and Financial Institutions Committee on Wednesday.
Although overdraft is viewed as a financial tool by credit unions, its fees are inherently predatory and target the most financially vulnerable Californians.
The bill would apply to more than 100 credit unions chartered in California. The Senate committee cited a recent KPBS investigation that found those credit unions collected $250 million in overdraft fees in 2022. Consumer advocates spoke in favor of the bill. Joytzrup Karabawa is with the economic justice group Rise Economy.
We see that people of color are overrepresented in those bearing the burden of cost of these overdraft and non-sufficient fund fees, also known as junk fees.
But credit unions argue overdrafts offer an important service when people run out of money. Robert Wilson is with the California Credit Union League.
They use this as a financial tool. As we stated, consumers like the opportunity to leave with their bag of groceries or their gas, so they're not bouncing a check on rent.
The bill now heads to the Senate Appropriations Committee. Scott Rodd, KPBS News.
Well, we still have some lingering rain showers and mountain snow that's been accumulating, really piling up in some of the high ground. Winter weather advisories to the east of San Diego will be ending late tonight, so still some snow in the mountains there. Mount Laguna down to 22 tonight with a hard hit of midwinter snow. This is one of our coldest storm systems of the winter and spring here in early April. How about that? And rain showers will be tapering off tonight, but they still are with us for a time in the city. Stay with us. We're going to have a complete look at that forecast coming up.
President Biden is in Baltimore for a first-hand look at the collapsed Francis Key Scott Bridge. A container ship crashed into it on March 26, killing 2 people and leaving 4 others missing. As Laura Aguirre reports, the president's previous vow to use federal funds to pay for reconstruction is sparking backlash.
It's my intention that federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge.
A presidential commitment that's touched off growing partisan backlash over who should foot the bill to rebuild Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, a vital American seaport in the global supply chain. The president is in Baltimore Friday, getting an aerial first-hand look at the destruction and enormous salvage efforts in motion. He said this in the hours after the deadly collision took place.
I've directed my team to move heaven and earth to reopen the port and rebuild the bridge as soon as humanly possible.
The full price tag of such a mammoth recovery and rebuilding operation is still not fully known. A team of government agencies is working to assess that daunting total. The Department of Transportation has already released $60 million to Maryland from an emergency relief fund. But the transportation secretary also had this to say last week.
To be clear, if any private party is responsible for and accountable for this, then they will be held accountable.
A statement some GOP lawmakers are seizing on. In a post on X Friday, the House Freedom Caucus demanded that the Biden administration seek maximum liability from any foreign shipping companies responsible up front before any more supplemental federal funds are given. Wherever the funding comes from, many on Capitol Hill do agree the port must open as soon as possible.
It is a critical economic hub. We've got to get this up and running.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
In 2022, the town of Nyland in rural northern Imperial County lost its only post office in a fire. And 2 years later, KPBS reporter Corey Suzuki says residents are still fighting to get it back.
Oh, this used to be the lobby right here.
Yes. Nelly Perez points through a scorched hole in the wall.
Oh, that's the lobby. This is the retail counter. Those are all the P.O. boxes that are facing against that wall.
We're standing inside what's left of a charred building. Layers of drywall and insulation have burned away, leaving just the wooden beams that used to hold up the building from the inside. Between them, you can still see mail containers and old envelopes on the ground. Behind us, Perez's friends Ana Garcia and Diana Juarez watch. They used to work here.
Our retirements might be in jeopardy if we step in there.
This building used to be the post office in Nyland, a small town on the north end of Imperial County, where Perez, Juarez, and Garcia grew up. But in February 2022, a fire partially destroyed the building, cutting off direct access to the mail for Nyland and surrounding communities. That was more than 2 years ago. As of now, residents still haven't gotten any concrete updates on when they'll see the post office reopen. Instead, community leaders say the closure has forced some people to drive 50 miles to pick up their mail and delay deliveries of medication, paychecks, and other essential services. Again, Ana Garcia.
It's been a hardship. Our community is 67% poverty. There's limited transportation. Some do not have transportation. We have many that are elderly. We have disabled. We have homeless. So the mail is very important to them. It carries their life.
The Postal Service declined an interview request. In an email, a spokesperson said they were committed to finding a new facility and continuing service in the area. Nyland's post office had served northern Imperial County for more than a century. Its service areas also included Bombay Beach, an old waterfront resort town, and Slab City, an isolated community of squatters and artists to the east. After the fire, USPS redirected customers south of Calipatria to pick up their mail. But from the beginning, residents say there were problems.
There was chaos with us receiving our mail.
Andra Dakota is an Nyland resident and a member of the Slab City community.
People would receive mail that is addressed to other people, would be missing their mail, including my very own personal mail like bank statements and medical records.
The distance was another challenge. Nyland to Calipatria is a 16-mile round trip. And community leaders said that was a struggle for some people, partly because 2/3 of all Nyland residents count as low income, according to the 2020 census.
I know so many people that don't have vehicles. I know so many people that are elderly.
Diana Juarez again.
If it's, frustrating to me that I have a way, I can imagine those people that don't.
Other residents had an even longer trek. From Bombay Beach, Calipatria is more than 50 miles round trip. A year into the closure, USPS started sending a mail truck into Nyland, where residents could come pick up their mail a few days every week. That's helped ease the loss, but it isn't a full replacement. To residents, it seems like the Postal Service isn't interested in repairing the old post office. Again, USPS wouldn't comment on that, but they have been searching for a new building that could serve as a replacement. One option currently under consideration is a vacant preschool near the old site. However, negotiations between the Postal Service and the local school district have dragged on, leaving residents frustrated at the lack of concrete updates.
When do we want our post office back? Now!
Last month, Perez, Juarez, and Garcia organized a protest. More than a dozen community members gathered outside the burned-out building, waving colorful signs. For many, the effort to save the post office is also about more than just the mail. In the 60s, Nyland was a thriving farm town, a hub for tomatoes in the valley, and home to a tight-knit Filipino community. But over the decades, many of those farms went out of business, and the number of people in town has plunged since then, forcing salons, restaurants, banks, and even the library to close their doors. Back inside that burned-down building, Perez says the post office was one of the last meeting places left.
I used to come and talk to Diana when she didn't have any customers. We'd just talk over the counter.
What did you guys talk about?
Everything, everybody, everything.
That hub of life is also something they want to save. Corey Suzuki, KPBS News, Nyland.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, the Israeli Defense Forces admit making a, quote, grave mistake in killing 7 aid workers in Gaza. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
As analysts try to predict when the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates, with many saying June or July, a man with some influence over the Fed is floating the possibility cuts may not happen this year at all. Amy Kiley explains.
Despite the usual closing bell cheers, many investors seem nervous. They hear talk of the Federal Reserve Board possibly not cutting rates this year. Key among those talking is Minneapolis Federal Reserve Bank President Neil Kashkari. He says cuts are still on the table, but
if we continue to see strong job growth, if we continue to see strong consumer spending and strong GDP growth, then that raises a question in my mind. Well, why would we cut rates? Maybe the dynamics that we have right now are actually sustainable.
Kashkari has a voice and some years of vote on a panel that influences the Fed board. It's called the Federal Open Market Committee. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says most of its members are more optimistic.
If the economy evolves broadly as we expect, most FOMC participants see it as likely to be appropriate to begin lowering the policy rate at some point this year.
But Powell's not promising a rate cut this year. He says the overall inflation trend is good, but recent reports are not.
On inflation, it is too soon to say whether the recent readings represent more than just a bump. We do not expect that it will be appropriate to lower our policy rate until we have greater confidence.
One of those bumps is oil prices hitting a 5-month high yesterday.
Both of those things together certainly delivered a pretty good 1-2 punch for markets.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Bargain shoppers will have one less option soon. In the Friday Business Report, SDSU's Mira Kopik talks about the decision by 99 cents only to close all of its stores.
Super discount stores like 99-cent only stores, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, who have the vast majority of their price points somewhere between $1 and $5, thrived at the beginning of the pandemic because so many people were out of jobs. I think one of the challenges in retail is how do you maintain and negotiate with manufacturers to get a very, very competitive price point for products that people are looking for when there's been substantial inflation. All these chains have really struggled the last 6 to 12 months, and a number of the other chains are actually closing down individual stores, even though they have thousands of stores around the country. They know there are a number of locations here in San Diego that will close here in the near future. It's very disappointing because this type of retailer really provides an excellent value for lower and lower middle consumers, and now they're going to need to find other options that are available to them.
Gas prices in San Diego County saw their largest increase in September. According to AAA, the average price for regular self-serve gas rose a nickel to $5.28. That is the highest amount since November 8th. The average price is also 17 cents higher than a week ago. Chula Vista has a new city council member. KPBS's Corey Suzuki says the appointment brings an end to the months-long saga that followed the criminal case of former council member Andrea Cardenas.
Give her a round of applause.
Last night, the Chula Vista City Council chose Rachel Moreno, a community engagement director at the nonprofit SBCS, to serve as an interim city council member until the end of the year. Moreno will fill the vacant District 4 seat, which represents Southwest Chula Vista. That seat was left open after disgraced former city council member Andrea Cardenas resigned earlier this year. In February, Cardenas pleaded guilty to stealing $165,000 of federal COVID relief funding and is now awaiting sentencing. The city council appointed Moreno instead of holding a special election because there was less than a year left in Cardenas' term when she resigned. Moreno was one of 8 finalists interviewed by the city council at last night's meeting. She said she was grateful for the opportunity and committed to staying actively connected to the residents of District 4.
On the real, I am what you get. This is all you get from me is a hard worker, committed, and an open door policy.
Councilmember Jose Preciado congratulated everyone who applied for the role. He said the number of people who came to the meeting showed how much Southwest Chula Vista residents care about having representation.
Looking forward to having a voice from District 4, somebody who lives there, somebody who's spending their lives there, their family time there. District 4 is the pulse of our city.
In November, District 4 voters will elect a candidate to serve a full 4-year term. Corey Suzuki, KPBS News, Chula Vista.
California is by far the biggest emitter in the U.S. of a little-known greenhouse gas. It's the pesticide used to kill termites when a house is tented. And KPBS SciTech reporter Thomas Fudge has the story. Tom, tell us more about this pesticide.
Maya, it's called sulfuryl fluoride. Typically, tented homes in California are filled with high concentrations of this gaseous pesticide to kill termites. After it's used, it's vented into the air. It has been used to fumigate homes for termites since another pesticide, methyl bromide, was found to be ozone depleting. But sulfuryl fluoride is a potent greenhouse gas that's thousands of times better at trapping heat in the atmosphere than CO2. The study by Johns Hopkins University and Scripps Institution of Oceanography found most of the pesticide's nationwide emissions come from California, mainly Southern California. Atmospheric scientist Jens Müller is with Scripps Oceanography. He says fumigating houses is more common in California because drywood termites are very common here and they're more likely to spread throughout a home.
Termites we have here are different from the termites in other states of in the United States, and therefore it seems like most applications and therefore most emissions are happening here.
Well, Tom, is this a pesticide, a greenhouse gas that we've known about for a while?
Yes, we've known sulfuryl fluoride is a greenhouse gas for at least 15 years, but Professor Müller says it is not on California's inventory of greenhouse emissions. That means it hasn't been measured as part of the problem, and our previous measurements of carbon emissions have therefore been incomplete. Thomas Fudge, KPBS News.
All eyes will be on the sky Monday morning as a total solar eclipse leaves a swath of shadow across the U.S. The full eclipse will go across Texas to the northeast coast and Canada. Here in San Diego County, we will only see a partial eclipse, but you'll still need an eye protection to watch it safely. Special solar filtered eclipse glasses are the best option. Catherine DeClear is an assistant professor of planetary science and astronomy at Caltech, which owns and operates the Palomar Observatory.
These glasses specifically block a certain fraction of light to make sure that your eyes are safe if you are looking at the sun in the sky unmagnified.
And DeClear says eclipse glasses cannot be used with a telescope, binoculars, or a camera. They all require their specific filters to be used safely. The Fleet Science Center in Balboa Park is hosting a free public viewing party that starts at 9 a.m. on Monday. Outside around the fountain, there will also be a live feed of the total eclipse in the Dome Theater.
Well, we've had a really active pattern here. This has been a pretty harsh winter storm in the month of April. Top wind gust locally was at Burns Canyon at 80 miles per hour. And high winds are going to be fading. We still have some rain showers around near the coast and into the lowlands and in the mountains. We still are dealing with some snow. That will be ending later tonight, and we're going to gradually turn milder and brighter as we step into next week. But for now, still winter storm warnings to our northeast, winter weather advisories with accumulating snow still occurring for some areas off to the east. And overnight tonight, showers are still around into the evening, tapering off late tonight, lows around 51 in the metro area. And tomorrow, we really do begin to break out into a quieter pattern. Still a little cool, but at least we're going to be drier and we'll begin the process of warming back up. Now, Mount Laguna, only a high of 38 with that snow on the ground, 72 at Borrego Springs. San Diego, a high of 63 degrees on your Saturday. Still high surf advisories out there, so some of the surfers are doing their thing. But be careful out there. There are some hazards offshore. As we look at the overall future satellite radar combination here, the evening activity of rain and mountain snow will be tapering off. Late tonight, still a few leftovers, but by 7 or 8 a.m., here we are 7:35 Saturday morning, some lingering clouds, but the bulk of the precipitation will be ending before that time, and we'll see these clouds begin to thin out just a bit. So Saturday is going to be a cool day, but high pressure will be building in. Very cool, though. It'll feel more like maybe a February day as opposed to an April day as the storm exits. So partial sunshine, 64 into Saturday and Sunday. Brighter and brighter as we get deeper into the new week, and we're going to also see temperatures rebound back into the low 70s. Heading inland, here we're still cool Saturday, low 60s, but back into the mid 70s for Tuesday and upper 70s Wednesday. The good times are going to be rolling back in. Mountains still playing it chilly there, 38 degrees for your high Saturday, and still a little cold on Monday and even Tuesday, but coolish, just not as cold by the middle of the week. And into the deserts we go, and here we're still on the slightly cool side, breezy this weekend. Mid 70s by Sunday and Monday, back up to 83 Tuesday. And look at this Wednesday, 93. What a rise that'll be there. A 21-degree jump from our cool Saturday. So the heat is going to begin to build back in. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
One of San Diego's most iconic landmarks is getting a facelift. Tomorrow, we'll get a look at what the Ocean Beach Pier could look like after the community gave input. More than 5,000 people were surveyed about enhancing the pier experience. They were asked to give feedback on 3 designs. Upgraded restrooms, accent lighting, and fishing amenities topped the list.
I'm always for public restroom access. Maybe some more seating, places to sit and enjoy the view, watch the surfers.
I guess like some safe fishing areas, little benches and places too, like where people can display their art.
And that feedback was used to create the newest design concept. It will be revealed in a meeting tomorrow from 2 to 5 p.m. at the Liberty Station Conference Center. Well, sunny days are ahead, and it could be the perfect forecast for a visit to the Carlsbad flower fields. The colorful bulbs are at peak bloom earlier than usual, and it could be from all the rain that we've been getting. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne takes us there.
Waves of pink, yellows, oranges, and white fill the Carlsbad coast. Despite all the rain San Diego has been getting, you can see that it's been paying off here at the Carlsbad flower fields, because you can just see fields after fields of colorful ranunculus, and they're open rain or shine, but not for much longer.
Flower Fields opens every year on March 1st, and we usually close on Mother's Day. So if you're planning to come to the flower fields, hurry up and make your plans, because we've only got 5 weeks left before we're done, and the bloom is early, and so it is in top condition right now.
Fred Clark is the general manager.
So the flower fields have been on these hillsides in Carlsbad for many years. The ideal climate to grow ranunculus is right here in San Diego. In nature, these are a Mediterranean crop, and they live on the northern edge of the Mediterranean, Crete, Iraq, Iran, along that Turkey, that whole northern edge. And so our climate here is just like theirs. And so the crop does beautifully.
He's been with the flower fields for 18 years. And while they have the farming of the blooms down to the T, Clark says he's noticed their popularity with the help of social media.
Well, the Flower Fields has got to be the most photographed place in southern, maybe in California. Everybody's taking pictures here. How can you not want to take a picture? Look at this backdrop behind me.
Thousands of people visit the flower fields every year, and Clark says they try to provide something new every time. This year, it's a live muralist.
They gave me pretty much a giant blank canvas to work with. And I wanted to create something that was reflective of my style, that had that bright colors, and that also reflected the flower fields with the ranunculus.
The mural will be a permanent piece that stays in the flower fields. Other activities include wagon rides, floral workshops, sunset experiences, and more. Tickets must be purchased online before arriving. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
If you're looking for more fun things to do with your friends and family, you could check out our Spring Arts Guide. There you will find our picks for the best art and culture in San Diego. And that includes visual art, theater, dance, music, and literature, and even some picks for kids. Just go to kpbs.org/springartsguide. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.